Yes, we got him.
I played Crimson Desert for about 34 hours, mostly on stream. And the longer I played it, the more I felt like this game has everything except a reason to keep playing. It looks beautiful, it has flashy combat, nice cinematics, lots of mechanics, and for a while, it really feels like you are playing something with huge potential. But the deeper I got into it, the more that feeling disappeared. Because Crimson Desert doesn't really fail because it has no ideas. It fails because none of those ideas come together. The first few hours are actually strong. The world looks beautiful, the combat feels fresh, and the game gives you that early feeling that maybe this is about to become something special. That's important, because it buys the game a lot of goodwill. It makes you want to be patient, it makes you think maybe the rough edges will smooth once out the systems opens up. But that's not really what happens. Instead of opening up, the game slowly starts repeating itself. And little by little, that early excitement turns into confusion, and then into apathy. By the end, I wasn't playing because I wanted to, I was playing because I had already paid for it, and paid a lot.
I mean, I will gather all the guys
Combat
in
is
here.
probably the best part of the game, that sells itself best at first. It looks dynamic, it looks stylish. You unlock a lot of moves, a lot of variations, and mixing fists, melee weapons, and range attacks in the same fight can feel genuinely cool. On paper, this should be one of the game's biggest
Oh, I
strengths,
almost out
but
of
in
food.
practice,
Should
it
be very
never
careful.
fully gets there. Most
Okay,
fights fall into two
I
extremes.
guess it's like
Either
all
there are
ramps.
too few enemies and the fight ends before the system really gets a chance to
Now what?
shine, or
I'm
there are
going to
too
try to
many
play like a
and the
human,
whole thing becomes
but I'm
exhausting.
going to mostly
Right
spam the
now,
buttons.
you're looking at footage where I was trying to clear one of the
Sometimes
first
dodging, sometimes doing
camps,
some
large
other cool
camps,
stuff.
the quarry. I spent entire
Like,
26 minutes in there clearing the camp. 26 minutes of pretty non-stop fighting to clear one camp. At this moment you don't really want to push buttons anymore, because it was a non-stop fight without any sense. Why there are so many enemies? It makes complete no sense for solo player, but if it was an MMO, then it's explainable. If with your friends you can fast clear camps and it
I
pushed you
just kill the
to
guys here and they
actually
respawn.
go in groups and do something. But in solo gameplay, it's completely exhausting. As well as that, the boss fights really expose the problem as well. Animations can feel too slow, bigger moves takes too long to commit to, and if you try to do anything more interesting than simple safe hits, you often just get punished for it. So instead of encouraging creativity, the combat often pushes you into the same boring rhythm: dodge, heal, wait for an opening, hit a few times, repeat. That's what makes it so disappointing. The combat looks expressive, but the actual fight designs keeps dragging it back into repetition. One of the easiest things to praise in Crimson Desert is the world itself. Visually, it really can be impressive. There are moments where it sells the fantasy perfectly. The landscapes are beautiful, the atmosphere works, and the world looks big enough to hide something meaningful around the corner. The problem is that eventually you realize there usually isn't much there. What did I actually keep finding? Bandits, mob bandits, traders selling basically the same things as traders far away, and camps packed with absurd numbers of enemies. That's where the world starts feeling strange. It looks rich, but it doesn't feel rich. Exploration without quest markers starts feeling pointless because the game doesn't reward curiosity often enough. And once that happens, the open world stops feeling like a place to discover and starts feeling like a very pretty container for repetition. The story and pacing were one of the biggest problems for me. Not because I need constant action, but because if a game is going to move this slowly, then writing, characters, and quest design need to be strong enough to justify that pace. Here they aren't. By the middle of chapter 4, I still felt like this game barely had any real momentum. So much of Crimson Desert is built around going somewhere to talk, then following an NPC while they talk. Usually they leave you afterwards for some dumb reason. Then you need to arrive somewhere else to trigger another slow conversation, and then come back to the camp to report it. And that feels even worse, because the main character has almost no charisma. He barely talks, barely reacts, and doesn't carry scenes well enough to make those long stretches interesting. So instead of feeling immersed, you start feeling trapped. Sometimes the whole quest is basically just walking and listening. And after enough hours, that doesn't feel atmospheric anymore. It just feels exhausting. Crimson Desert originally was designed as an MMORPG, and this is where I think the real explanation starts to appear. It feels like a game that still has MMO DNA, but is now trying to function as a single-player RPG. And that might be why so much of it feels disconnected. The open world is huge, but not meaningfully dense. The world design often feels built around repeated content rather than careful crafted discovery. The combat system has a lot of surface level variety, but encounters don't always feel tuned around a strong solo action RPG rhythm. The pacing feels padded in a way that often resembles systems meant to stretch time rather than deepen immersion. And the game is packed with mechanics, but instead of building one focused experience, they often feel like separate pieces sitting next to each other, and they don't come up in the puzzle. Something is missing. That's why Crimson Desert is so frustrating, because the problem isn't a lack of ambition. The problem is that all these ideas never become one strong whole. It feels like the game that still carries the shape of something broader, more systemic, maybe even something multiplayer in its bones. But now it's trying to be a story-driven solo RPG, and that final transformation just doesn't work. I will describe it as big world, many system, no strong core. I ended up closing the game during yet another slow side story mission, and that was the moment it really clicked for me. I wasn't playing because I was enjoying it anymore, I was playing because I had already paid for it. And that's never a good sign. So in its current state, I can't recommend Crimson Desert, especially not for the price that they are asking you. $75 in some regions is definitely overpriced. Wait for the patches, wait for discount, and honestly, you won't lose anything by waiting. Because to me, Crimson Desert feels like a game with the shape of something much bigger. But as a single player RPG, it feels weak, unfocused, and incomplete. It looks like a game with a huge potential, but sadly, it never becomes one. Crimson Desert isn't empty because it has no ideas. It feels empty because none of those ideas become a real game together. They are disconnected and doesn't feel like a wholesome story. At last but not least, I just want to show you a few stupid moments, bugs, or inconveniences that are in the game that I guess are just a lacking of a game design or some dumb mistakes. So you can watch it. By the way, I will still continue playing the game. I will 100% it on the stream, so you won't have to pay for it to watch the whole story and the whole missions and whatever it is. So yeah, hope to see you on my stream, and drop a like and subscribe button if you find this video useful. Thank you, and see you on stream hopefully. So, while I'm flying over here, I will just talk about some bugs, inconveniences, so you will know it. As you saw earlier in the clip, if you sell your armor with a horse, when it's equipped on the horse, you lose armor for this horse, sadly, even without receiving any money for it. So you're just selling horse and losing it. It's frustrating because like that lost my armor that I got with the deluxe edition. So basically, lost a kind of cool look for the horse. Then there is this bug where I started flying into the cosmos instead of dropping down. I don't know how this happened, but you know, happens. Then about inconveniences. First of all, we cannot TP on the horse. So basically, each time your TP process is dismount from the horse, TP on the point, mount up on the horse. Why it's like that? Why can't we TP with the horse? I don't know. Maybe because they didn't figure out how to position character properly on the horse so it won't bug. Anyways, if we continue, there was one quest when I killed one outlaw and left him being there. Then I came back, he wasn't there, and as a bug, he was actually in the texture of a portal nearby. That was really stupid because I tried to find him many times until I accidentally trapped on 3 bodies just spawned exactly um, in the Abyss teleporter position. That's stupid as well. I will show it in the seconds and you will understand how stupid it is. So see you. What was that? Um, um, so I cleared this camp previously. I fucked up and I killed the outlaw. Now I was trying to find this guy, and he's just in checkpoint under the textures. And like